Hey, this is Anthony with RevZilla, where you watch, decide, and ride. Welcome to our detailed breakdown of the new LS2 MX453 helmet, available at RevZilla.com. I like this helmet, but they could have given it a better name. It's the MX453 from LS2. It's almost like having a child that you didn't care enough to name properly. But LS2, you did a good job with this helmet. So, leave your name in the comments. Maybe we'll change the name based on your suggestion. I will send you a t-shirt. If we look at it, this is a sub $200 dual sport helmet that really, in my opinion, in the LS2 line, creates a great option for street riding with a light crossover. Now, LS2 also makes the Pioneer. It's a little bit less expensive. It's going to be in the same range. That's better suited for adventure riding, has some different features, has better ventilation. This guy, when you look at it, the things you need to think about are it's classic. It is really more of a hooligan setup. You do have your dirt style with your drop-down shield. Your vents are open and closable. There's enough room to have speakers that are worked in from a comm unit. So from my standpoint, I like it as really that hooligan, upright riding, more on-road oriented, aggressive option. What I don't love it is for a full-on adventure. I think that some of the features here would need to be improved to go that route, but that's why LS2 made the Pioneer. Now remember, you're also 3 pounds 5 ounces, which is super light. Fiberglass shell. There's only one shell, which means that whether you're in a small or an extra large, it's going to be the same size. That's a negative. But again, coming in under the $200 mark, I really can't dock it that many points. Now, quick note on fitment. And this is something I mentioned earlier because I'm certainly going to walk down the entire helmet. Remember, you have your matte black, your gloss white, your gloss high vis. There's also some graphics. Here's a fit scheme, and this is one of the other things I like about it. It's long and narrow. It's a long oval head shape. So if you're longer and thinner than I am, this is a great option for you, and there's not a lot of dual sport adventure helmets on the market that really cover this base. Now remember, the Pioneer, which is its sister, is going to be more of an intermediate. It'll fit everybody. But for this hooligan style, this is going to be that long oval that we like, which works for a specific audience. There's a ton of helmets on the market that have a peak. They're not necessarily this bang for the buck under 200 bucks, but typically all of those helmets are more of an intermediate. It's nice to see the guys with a long oval head shape now having an option. And if you don't have long oval head shape, if you're more intermediate or God forbid round, this, and when I say God forbid, I mean stop watching the video, this won't fit you. It just won't work. Remember, use the size chart, no surprises there. We'll ship free over 39 bucks, and I'd love it if you'd subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, click our logo at RevZilla, leave me your comments, your questions, your feedback. Hell, you can name the MX453 because, like I said, LS2, start naming your products. You did a good helmet, but you didn't give it a good name. So if we look at the rest of it here, let's walk through some of the guts. Looking at the peak on top, it's not a breakaway peak, but you do have a replaceability factor here on the front. Notice the screws, you can remove that. And that peak's gonna be aerodynamic. Notice the big cutaways along the top. It's gonna flow air through, and you're seeing those cutaways that are giving way to the vents. There's your chimney vents. Notice open and closable. On the Pioneer, you can't open and close the vents. That's why I say that's more of an off-road helmet. This is more of a street-oriented helmet, knowing you might get caught in a cloudburst. Now, if we think about it, like I said, it's fiberglass, going to be using a more premium material. And if you think about the way this peak is connected, it's not really breakaway. So it might chip on the edge, but it's not easily removable. You actually have 5 screws, and it's not meant to be worn with the peak removed in almost that fighter pilot configuration. It's really meant to be worn here. The other thing to keep in mind here is it is an aggressive shape, but the front of this helmet, it's not meant to wear it with goggles and have your visor come down over the goggles. On the Pioneer, you can do that. On this helmet, you're using this shield as your primary area for shielding your eyes. You're not wearing goggles typically underneath. Keep that in mind. Staying with our vent scheme, if I move down towards the front, you do have an open and closable chin vent here, but there is some mesh in there that's non-removable and non-cleanable. That's a feature you'd see in a higher end dual sport or dirt helmet. Here, remember, you're working for the street. It's meant to be configured for more road riding scenarios. I do like the metal hardware. The metal hardware is set up to be more of a style feature. Again, knowing you're not going to be adjusting or removing this peak like you were on a more dual sport oriented helmet. And we move around to the back, it does have a nice angular feel to it. I like the angularness of this helmet. Notice the back here, you have those 3 screws to move everything, but you do have your passive vents that are going to suck out warm, moist air along the back, down along the winglets here. Again, creating that Venturi effect, keeping you cool, keeping you more comfortable. Now, one of the other nitpicks I have for it, and again, I'm just calling out what I see. Again, there's bang for the buck factor here, but know what you're getting into. Notice the shield has a bubble. And the bubble shield is really so they can have it be optically correct, because it's very expensive to manufacture a shield of this caliber and have it be optically correct and hit this price point. So what they did, and you see this a lot, you'll see the bubble to the shield, which allows you to make it a little flatter, and it's going to minimize distortion. As you get higher in the range of adventure and dual sport helmets, when you think about Shoei, you think about Arai, you typically don't see that bubble. They're going to engineer their shield to be specific with the helmet, be optically correct and non-distorting, but also sit flat. That's just one of those things you have to keep in mind. That actually doesn't bug me very much. What bugs me is the fact that while I have this lip to push up with my finger, there's no detents here. So I don't have a city position. I don't really have a solid detent midway. If I want to put it up, I have up and I have down. That would be something I'd like to see improved for the next iteration of this MX453, to be named later. Now, if we look at the helmet, from the outside in, again, it's aggressive, it's rock solid here. There are some things they can improve, but remember, he's sub 200 bucks. I can't ding it that hard because it is the fit and finish of it are quite nice. We look at the internal guts on this helmet, little details that work. Notice my cheek pads are simple to remove. I'm using antimicrobial and wicking liner. Actually, I have to undo my double D-ring. What's cool about this double D-ring too is notice I did that and it stayed together. There's micro Velcro. The male side is out, so it's not gonna bite you. That micro Velcro keeps everything together. I personally like that. Keeps everything from flopping around on you if there's some extra material or depending on how you leave it. Now, when I pull my cheek pad out, notice that it's contoured. Notice you also have a thin area by where your ear would go. There are no speaker cutaways in the EPS lining on the inside of this. At first, we were kind of concerned. We looked at it and we said, it's not going to work for a comm unit. What if I want to put a Bluetooth communicator? There's plenty of room here, even with the long oval shape, because they did this full cutaway. I will tell you on the Pioneer, the sister product here, it does not have enough room, even though it's intermediate oval, to put a comm unit. So if you definitely need a comm unit, this is going to be your option. But remember, if that long oval is not going to work for you, this helmet's really not going to work for you. Now, notice the contour on the cheek pad. It's going to be wicking premium materials close to your face. There we go, I'm pulling it out. You can see the same on both sides. Notice the reflectivity along the back. Now it's 2 snaps in the back, and then as I get to the front here, we're gonna notice it's Velcro. Comes out very simply. There's my Velcro area. Notice there's no snaps. There's no area that's going to create a pressure point, which I like. And notice the big cutaways. Big cutaways, 3D designed. It's going to be laser designed and sonically welded. So what you have here is going to be a comfort liner that's going to provide a great amount of airflow without giving you any pressure points in the forehead. And down here, these 2 snaps, you'll never feel them. They're below the occipital ridge on your head. That's a classic place for snaps on internal helmet designs and comfort liners. If we look at it, there are your big vent holes with big channeling running front to back. Do we see it venting the same way as a helmet that might be twice the cost? No, but are you not going over the $200 mark with a helmet that actually does a lot of things pretty well? Yeah, I would agree. And the one thing I want to show you here on the side is, remember, I did talk about the fact that there's no speaker pocket. You have to see that. Remember, if you're using a more premium Bluetooth unit that might have a thicker speaker, you might think about that. Thin speakers are going to work best because they'll fit within the cheek pad and there's no pocket for them. If you go to a thicker speaker, it may or may not work for you, so keep that in mind. But there's plenty of room here to mount that to the neck roll, and you do have a flat spot right here if you want to do a sticky mount as well. So again, no surprises there. So keep in mind, there's some things we liked about it, there's some things we loved about it, and there's some things that we'd want to improve. But all in the message here is you're sub $200, it's basic, it's matte black, it's more hooligan inspired, and this is going to be the long oval street version compared to the intermediate oval dirt version in the Pioneer. And this is that MX453. Probably you've heard me say it 5 times. My biggest gripe is that they didn't name it, but I have faith that everybody on the YouTubes will give me a good name for it in the comments, and we're just going to put that in parentheses on the product detail page and tell LS2 we renamed your product because you guys didn't do so. So don't get mad at me, LS2. I'm just calling it out right as I see it. The next step in your journey is to click the info button on your desktop or your mobile device. Visit the product detail page at RevZilla.com. Read other rider reviews of the LS2 MX453. You shouldn't just take my word for it. As always, we'll ship for free for 39 bucks. If you want to talk to a gear geek, see us at RevZilla.com or 877-792-9455. Thanks for watching our detailed breakdown. Remember, subscribe to us at RevZilla on our YouTube channel. Stay up to date with our opinion on the latest and greatest in the moto universe. I'm Anthony. We'll see you next time.